We are live once again to another Create Your New Life real estate session powered by Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. Every Thursday at 12 o'clock, we get this show on the road. So we want to say welcome, 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 welcome. All right. Um, Thank you for joining us. Always looking to have these sessions, have this time together, talk a little bit about real estate, a little bit about business, a little bit about Brooks and Davis. So welcome. And if you're definitely want to say thank you for your time that you're spending with us, whether you're looking at it live or whether you are taking a look at it at a later date on our YouTube channel. We just want to say thank you for checking us out, see what we have to talk about. We're always looking for talented individuals to join our firm. So if you're in real estate, if you're thinking about getting into real estate, we have opportunities for agents, or you can be a part of our affiliate program, which is for individuals that are looking to get into real estate and want to have a support. It's at no cost. You can become one of our affiliates and we'll support you through the process of getting your classes and your tests and getting your license to where you can become one of our agents. So we're always looking for talented people, whether licensed or unlicensed. At any point, as the agents come on board, if they have questions, they can stop and engage. So as always, there's an opportunity there for those that fully participate. All right. Now, we titled today's show, Every Call Ends with a Consultation. SS-3, right? So SS stands for skill set. So today we're going to start talking about skill set number 3 in our success in real estate machine, our real success funnel, right? So skill set number 3. So we called it Every Call Ends with Consultation because skill set number 3 has to do with successfully making the consultation, right? Successfully scheduling the consultation, which is that skill set. So every time you make a phone call, you follow up with a lead, you go through your follow-up protocol, the goal is for it to end with the consultation. That's your single focus goal in the follow-up protocol. That's the next phase of the funnel. So that's why we titled it the way we titled it. Now the quote that is work life is a circle, not a balance. I actually heard that quote yesterday and I thought it was phenomenal. So that quote came from we got that quote from Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon. He was being interviewed. And he said work life is a circle, not a balance. So I know plenty of you, especially if you're owning your own business, entrepreneur, and you have those challenges when it comes to work-life balance, right? And they always ask you about work-life balance. Like, how do you balance work and then spending time with your family and kids and doing recreational things? How do you balance that and not be a workaholic all the time? And, and I found like it was one of the things that I struggle with is having a balance between how much time you spend working and how much time you spend doing other things that are not work. Because the worst thing that can happen is you have all of this success, but not have anybody to share with because you never made time and room for your family. So he said work life is a circle, not a balance. And the way that he described it was the things that you do at work, you should enjoy what you do at work. And because of that enjoyment, it energizes you. And that energy that you're generating at work, you carry that energy over to your house, right? So when you come home, you're bringing a level of positive energy to your house because of what's happened to you at work and the fulfillment you get out of the work that you do, right? And it's vice versa when you're at home, because of the time that you spend at home and the energy that's generated through your life and the things that you're doing outside of work. Well, because of that, when you go to work, it generates that positive energy for you to take with you into your job. So it's not a balance, it's a circle. They're dependent upon each other. The energy generated from, and that's why it's important that you do stuff that you enjoy doing, that you work in a field and in a career that you get fulfillment out of, right? It's important because if you don't, if you're working and doing things that you don't like doing, then that negative energy you're bringing home and you're putting it on your family, right? And then because of that, no good things gonna come out of that, and how you behaving and treating them. So then that negative energy, when you go to work the next day, you're gonna take that and it's just gonna be a vicious cycle, a vicious circle. So that's why he said work life is not a circle, is a balance and not a circle, right? And I thought it was the way that he defined and explained it was excellent. I enjoyed it. So that's why I chose to use that quote today. All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into this thing and see how we performed over the week. All right, so as of on our pending board, we got $4.8 million. So we're a little less than $5 million as far as what's on our pending board. So we're still kind of in a solid spot. We had some production come in, so we want to congratulate Margaret. She has some new production that she put on the board. So definitely want to congratulate her on that. And we had some closings. So people got some checks. Congratulations to those agents who closed out transactions over the week that we had to take off the board. But it's a good thing because they got some money. They that material equivalent of all the work and energy that they put into to do that transaction. They got that physical equivalent that now they can deposit into their bank account. So we're happy for that. We actually brought on a new agent, so we want to welcome him, Mr. Darius Handy. So we want to welcome Darius to the family. Got him set up on the group me, so we're gonna get our shout out to him today. And let's go ahead and check out our top 5. So our top 5 producing agents. And now we had a lot of movement over this week in our top 5. So Mashana held her #1 position. But Margaret Harrison, because adding some production to the board, has now catapulted herself up to the #2 spot. So she went from not on the list to the #2. And I tell you guys all the time, you're one transactional, like one contract away most of the time from being on the list. So definitely want to congratulate Margaret for making it to the list, to the #2 spot. And then Charles is holding that #3 spot. And then Kim Stubblefield and then LaQuana is holding on to that last spot as the #5 producing agent as of May 17th. So congratulations, ladies. Congratulations, gentlemen, for your positions on the top 5. All righty. So we are still in our 60-day cycle. So remember our 60-day mantra, 60-day cycle, where we measure the amount of new production that we add to our production board within a period of time. We look in 60-day sprints. So prepare to pop is the mantra that we're wearing in this 60-day cycle and rotation. So we have a couple of weeks left in this 60-day cycle, and we need to, our goal is 5.3 million. So we're about $700,000 away from hitting our goal. So we definitely want to continue to work hard, get contracts, get items under properties under contract, buyers under contract, so we can hit our goal of 5.3 million. Now we are ahead of where we should be, right? We're about $700,000 ahead of where we should be based on how we split it up, but we're not there yet. So let's keep the momentum. Let's keep it up. Remember, prepare to pop has to do with the fact that we're going into the summer season. So now is the work that you need to be doing to position yourself and prepare yourself. So when the summertime gets here, you'll have consultations, you'll have clients, you'll have contracts, you'll have closings, right? So this was the time for the setup, because the season, remember, real estate is seasonal. So the season's about to pop because we're going into our summer months. All righty. All right, so new listing showcase. This is a new listing from one of our agents, Mr. John Stampley. And for those individuals you're working with, ideal buyer for this property is an investor, somebody that wants to be in an excellent location, that 77021, which is like Southern Third Ward, but it's inside the loop. So being inside the loop is an excellent location. So this particular property looks like it needs some repairs, but it's in a hot rehab area. So he's marketing it to flippers. A flipper is an investor who will buy and repair it and then put it back on the market, as well as to landlords. So that's a person that wants to hold on to the property. So they'll buy it, fix it up, then they'll put a renter in it. But again, the biggest sale for this property is the area and the location. Now he talks about the rent, saying that you could probably get $900 rent once it's fixed up. So that's some pretty solid cash flow at a purchase price of $62,000, depending on what the cost would be to rehab it, right? So it's, again, essentially located, and that's really what he's pushing as far as the Galleria area, the universities, NRG, and all the highways that are close to it. So to help John out as far as selling this property, if you have any investors that are looking to add to their portfolios, you have any investors or some individuals that are talking about they want to invest in real estate and they're looking for opportunities, here's one to put in front of them. If you have any questions, you can go to the MLS, and you have all of John's contact information, or you can call into the office and we can definitely get you guys connected if you have somebody that is that this particular property works for them. So again, let's get out there, some opportunity for you to make some phone calls, push some properties, and let's do a deal together as a family, as an organization. So let's work together on getting that one sold. 3426 Mount Pleasant Street in 77021, inside the loop. It's like a little like Northern Third Ward. All righty. Every week I like to show you all about our proprietary programming. These are all the things that you have access to by being a part of Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. And we're constantly working on, we have some stuff in the pipeline now that we're constantly working on and adding to the proprietary programming that we do. So and we're actually I'm not gonna go into detail about these because as a part of our talk today, we are going to be highlighting a number of these proprietary programs because they are resources and tools that you can use when convincing a customer to meet with you, to have a face-to-face with you. So we're going to talk about those. So the only one I'm really going to highlight is the affiliate program. I think the affiliate program is an excellent program for individuals that are looking, that come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. I get that a lot. I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of text messages, like social media posts about people that are thinking about getting into real estate and they have questions about it. So that was why the whole idea and the concept of the affiliate program came into play, was to have something where people would have a level of support to guide them to get licensed, because I felt like there was a void there. Most real estate companies, they want you once you're licensed. You have, even if you sit down with them before you go take the test, they say, well, go take the test or go get your classes or go finish it. They send you out there. And then once if you're lucky, you figure it out on your own. You do what you need to do. You pass the test, and then they want you to come back at that point. Well, we're like, we're going to hold your hand through the whole thing. So you come meet with us. You come be a part of our affiliate program, and we're going to get you assimilated into what we do as an organization now as you're working through. So you have that undergirding, which I believe is extremely important for people that are wanting to come into our industry. It helps them come into our industry the right way, right? So that's our affiliate program. And understand that our affiliate program goes in hand with the Recruitment Realtor Rally. That's that 5% override, meaning that's that mailbox money. That's that passive income. You getting paid off of other people's efforts. So if you have some people that are interested in getting into real estate, they're not licensed yet, you can get them signed up as an affiliate. And as they get signed up as an affiliate, once they go through the process and they transition into an agent, well, they start making money. You're going to get a percentage of that money that they're making because you referred them to the company and you recruited them to Brooks and Davis real estate firm. So that's what that's all about. So again, you all have access to that as a tool or resource to help you create residual income, which is, you know, where we're all trying to get, is to that passive income place. All right, perfect. So now let's have our core ideology minute before we get into our talk. So remember, these are our values. So our organizational ideology is made up of three things. It's made up of a BHAG, which is our big, hairy, audacious goal. It's made up of a purpose, and it's made up of values. So these are the 5 values that define us as an organization and people of the organization. This is what ties us together. So the one I'm going to highlight today is constant positive attitude, because that's what we bring to the table. As a part of Brooks and Davis real estate firm, it's all about positivity and constant positivity. I mean, that flows directly into the quote that Jeff Bezos talked about when it comes to the work life is a circle, not a balance. It's that positive energy, that positive attitude and perspective that you bring to everything that you're doing, right? That's a whole nother reason why it's imperative that you determine a career that you get fulfillment out of, because that's what the positivity is going to be birthed from. So you have to be happy and grateful that you're in real estate. You have to be happy and grateful for your clients and the things that you do. You have to have that positivity completely surrounding everything that you do in the business. And being a part of Brooks and Davis, that is something that is going to define us. Every person that is a part of this organization is defined by the consistency of their positive attitude. And we bring it to every single thing we do. It's expected, whether that's working with another agent or any other colleague that's in this business, whether that's working with a customer, whether they're good or rude or nice or angry, it don't matter. You're bringing the ingredient that you're bringing to the gumbo is positive attitude, right? Even with current clients, you know, clients aren't going to behave the way you want them to behave all the time. But even with that being the case, you're bringing positive attitude to the table, because what we believe and what we know is that the thing that follows positive attitude is success. Success comes from the positivity of your attitude. It's been proven. It's a timeless concept. So because we understand that, then that is something that we as an organization ride on, is the positivity that comes, or the success that comes with that positive attitude. So at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, we always have a positive attitude. All right. So let's go. All right. So now let's go ahead and jump into. Now remember, I'm trimming down these Create Your New Lives from an hour and a half to an hour. So I'm moving a little quicker through a lot of the business of the business of Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, so we can at least have about 30 to 45 minutes of our topic time, which is what we're going to go into now. So today we're still in our day in the life of a real estate agent, which is a practical view of the concept of the Realtor Success Funnel. So what that means is, conceptually, we've talked about the funnel and working through it, but what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? How do I walk out the Realtor Success Funnel? So that's what this talk, the day in the life of a realtor, is a real estate professional, is all about. Okay, so as always, it starts with the Realtor Success Funnel, this is the concept, right? So this is the ideal blueprint of a successful real estate business. This is what it looks like. And again, it has, leads, contact, consultation, client, contract, and close, which is the 6 main areas that you have to journey through, right? And then we have the 6 skill sets that you have to conquer, right? And then as well as you have your follow-up protocol arrows, which mean things. You have your foundation, which is the blue square, which is the foundation. It starts there. And then you have your insights on the side, on the right side, that deal with your metrics, right? So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the Real Success Funnel because I have plenty videos where we broke this Real to Success Funnel down, re-engineered it, put it back together, added to it, grew it. Like, we created this thing together, right? So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but what I am going to do is highlight where we are in the conversation, which is right here, skill set number 3. So we've already talked about, from a practical standpoint, we spent some time on what skill set number 1 looks like, which is generating leads, and more leads. Like, what does that look like on a daily basis? And we've done the same thing for skill set number 2, making contact with your leads and consistent follow-up, what that looks like on a daily basis, right? So now, as we've become successful in these 2 skill sets, the result looks like, how many consultations are you going on, right? So that's a metric that you can measure, that you need to be measuring to determine if you're effective, if you're truly effective in those 2 skill sets. The amount of consultations, face-to-face meetings that you're having is a measure that you should be measuring, right? All right. So we'll start there. Let's start with the fact that you need to be measuring. You need to have some type of mechanism in place to where you're measuring how many consultations that you're going on, right? And I would really base it on a week. How many consultations per week are you going on? So even if you set a goal and say, you know what, I want to go on 5 consultations a week, then to break it down on a daily metric, that's at least 1 a day, right? On a 5 or 6 day work week. Or say you want to say 10. I want to do 10 a week, right? Well, if you're working Monday through Saturday, right, then that gives you an opportunity to do 10 face-to-face appointments in 6 days. So that's 2 a day. Like, if you schedule it, you have your time block set up for appointments. Well, you put in play for you to have 2, say there's Monday through Friday, and use Saturday as a flex day, right? So you got 2 per day, but then you have a flex day just in case you need to do one day and one the next day, right? So, 10 appointments a week is very doable if you're effective in skill set number 1 and skill set number 2. It's very doable to be going on 10 appointments per week, or 10 consultations. So we call them consultations, right? But you call them appointments, consultations, or whatever. All right. So now, in looking at it from a practical standpoint, well, we talked about time blocking, which is a part of your foundation, right? So remember, time blocking is a part of the blue triangle. It's your foundation, time blocking. Well, in your time block, after your lead generation time, right? Remember, we set up in the morning, you get up, then you set up your lead generation time. Let me pull up my calendar. That'll help us really go through this better. Okay. So I'm going to pull up my calendar. And I'm going to go to, we'll say July. Because mine can get real crazy sometimes. All right, and then we'll look at it for week. All right. So we'll just use mine as an example. So as you're time blocking, right, then like on my calendar, I have these flex spots, right? So now this is a way that I control my calendar, and you have to do the same thing. This is what I mean when I say the blue square, the foundation, right? It starts with time blocking. So if a person wants to meet with me on a Tuesday, then the opportunities to meet with me are at 12:30, 2 o'clock, 3:30. Those are the only opportunities. So when I'm scheduling meetings, or when people are wanting to schedule meetings with me, 12:30, 2 o'clock, 3:30 are the options. So now when you're on the phone and you're doing your follow-up protocol and you convince somebody to have a meeting with you, well, you don't let them pick. You don't ask them what day works best for you. You've already built it out on your calendar. So you ask them, does 12:30 on Tuesday work? 12:30 on Tuesday doesn't work. You still want to meet on Tuesday? You don't have any other meetings? Well, how about a 2 o'clock slot? How about a 3:30 slot, right? If neither one of those work, then you pick another day. Well, what about 2 o'clock on Friday or Thursday? So typically when I'm scheduling appointments, I ask them what day works best, right? So they say, well, the best day for me is Wednesday. I say, okay, well, for my Wednesdays, I meet people 12:30, 2 o'clock, right? I can't meet people at 3:30 on Wednesdays because I have a standing meeting. Really, I pick my kids up from school every Wednesday, so I can't. So 12:30, 2 o'clock. If Wednesday is the date, if Friday is or Thursday is the date, then my first meeting's at 2 o'clock. I can't meet at 12:30 on Thursday. Why? Because I do the Create Your New Life. So if it's a Thursday meeting, it's 2 o'clock, 3:30, or we can meet at 5, right? So that's what that looks like. That's how that looks, right? All right. So we had to start there because to successfully schedule the consultation, you have to already be set up with your available time slots that you can meet. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing is, and it's included in your notes, is that I've already done some Create Your New Life sessions that you can revisit. One of them are Buyers Really Liars, and that one talks about this portion of pre-qualifying a buyer and convincing them to meet with you, which is kind of the area of the realtor funnel the success funnel that we are in. All right, and then another video is Hello, Mr. Seller, how are you? And pretty much the same thing, just for seller clients, right? So those two previous Create Your New Life sessions are excellent ones that you can revisit, and it goes into a little more depth for those specific types of buyers and sellers, right? All right, so let's do this. All right, so now, very important to remember, now that we're getting into convincing somebody to have a meeting with you. So keep in mind what it looks like on any particular day is you've gotten dressed, you've gotten up, you're inside of your lead generation, lead follow-up time, right? You're returning phone calls, right? So you've had people reach out to you and they say that they were interested in buying a home. You've had people reach out to you and say that they're interested in selling a home. So now you're following up with these individuals, right? When they initially called, they said that maybe they needed you to call them back. So you're utilizing your Wise agent or your CRM. It's populating your call list for you. So now when you come in and you sat at your desk and you pull up the list of people that need to be called or followed up, whether they're new leads, whether they're leads that you're following up with or retouching base with, you got your list, you start calling. All right. So now the point of the phone call, of all those phone calls, is to get them to meet with you. If they're trying to buy a house, if they're trying to sell a house, there needs to be some type of meeting that takes place. All right. So the first thing we're going to start with buyer, right? What kind of meetings, what kind of consultations need to happen when you're on the phone with someone that wants to buy, a prospective buyer customer, right? All right. So, well, before we do that, though, before we go into the specifics, let's talk about the rules of prospecting. Now, this is something that I've talked about before, but it's important that we talk about this because the rules of prospecting is what is going to get people to the point to where they'll be willing to have a meeting with you. Now, when we say the rules of prospecting, because for the most part, when you're calling people and what we've talked about in skill set number 2, that's called prospecting, right? You're actively engaged in reaching out to talk to people, right? So the first rule is you need to identify the need. If a person calls you and they're interested in buying a house, well, what is the need? Well, most of you would say, well, the need is they want to buy a house. That's not their need. It's not a need, right? What they need is somebody to show them how to do it, right? That's why they need you. See, for the most, it's hard to offer someone a solution if you haven't even taken the time to figure out if they need you, right? So now the very first question you need to ask, if their need is they need somebody to show them the process and walk them through the process, well, if you don't ever ask them the question of if they're working with an agent, then you're missing it because they may not need you. If they already have an agent, then they don't need you. So that's got to be the first question that you ask. If somebody calls you and maybe they're calling on one of your listings and they're a buyer, very first question you have to ask is, are you working with an agent? Because you have the assumption that you make is that they need help with the process, right? They need help understanding all the nuances of the home buying process, understanding how to put them in the best position to find the home that they want and they need help. They're going to need someone to help bridge that gap because they're not professional. This isn't their career. This isn't their profession. So since it's not their career, their profession, they don't know what they're doing, right? You have to go into it with the mind frame that the people that have a real estate need do not know what they are doing. Now, they're going to give you the perception that they know what they're doing. They may even come at you that they know what they're doing. I have conversations with people all the time that think they know what they're doing, but they don't, because common sense tells me this ain't what you do, so I can't expect that you know what you're doing, right? So the first rule of prospecting is to identify the need. Do they need you? And whether that's a buyer or whether that's a seller. You're on the phone with a for sale by owner, right? You can't assume that they need you, because ultimately the for sale by owner wants to sell his house. He wants to get his house sold, right? So now, if he's able to get somebody to buy his house, then he doesn't need you, right? I mean, I know it's a hit on your self-esteem, but he doesn't need you. Now, the statistics say, yeah, for sale by owners typically sell their houses for less than what they could have gotten if they used an agent. Well, that's still not a need, right? They're leaving money on the table, but that may not be their motivation to make the most amount of money with the sale of their home. I was talking to a for sale by owner on Tuesday, and his motivation is not about making the most amount of money on the sale. His motivation is he just needs to pull the cash out of the house because he wants to purchase or build a RV park, right? So he's wanting to increase his opportunity of cash flow, monthly cash flow. So he's liquidating all his real estate properties. And so now, he put a sign out there and he had it on Zillow, and, and he's shown it. He's got some interest and he showed the property, and, he got some people that are supposed to see if they can get pre-approved for the property. So he's getting traction. He's getting He's getting movement, activity on the house. Now, again, can I probably make him more money? Absolutely. I know I could make him more money, right? Even in my analysis, I know that. But is that a need for him, right? And right now, it's not a need. So I'm gonna follow up with him since I understand that, right? There's no point in me trying to schedule a face-to-face with him right now because I'm not the only solution to the need at this moment, right? So I've identified the need, right? I've, we go into the second rule where it talks about getting agreement from the customer concerning the need. So he obviously, if the need is he needs to sell his house, then he and I are on the same page about the fact that he needs to sell his house. So we need to agree on that, right? Go back to the illustration about the buyer. They need somebody to help them with the process. Well, they may not know that that's what they need. Even if you've identified it, rule number one is for you to identify it. Well, even if you've identified it, if they don't agree with you that that's what their need is, whether right or wrong, if they don't agree, you're not going to be successful in the third rule. So you have to continue to speak with them until they understand and agree that that is what their need is at that time, right? So that's why that's the second rule. You have to get agreement with the customer concerning whatever need that you've identified, right? All right. And then the final rule is once you've identified the need and once you've gotten agreement that that's what their need is, then rule number three is that you offer you as the only solution to the need. Now, you are the only solution to the need. Now, if you can never get to the point to where you can articulate you as the only or best, we'll say only or best solution to their need, then you're not going to get the consultation. Remember, the whole point of this is to get them to meet with you, right? So if you're offering yourself and you're articulating to them that you're the only or best solution to their need, then it's just a no-brainer for them to agree to meet with you. So then at that point, you just need to ask for the meeting, right? See, the one thing that you don't do for skill set number three is try to convert them into a client. You don't do that over the phone. You don't do that through the rules of prospecting. You don't do that at this juncture. That's not this skill set. That's skill set number four. So skill set number three has nothing to do with you trying to convince them that for them to hire you. Skill set number three, that's not what that's for. Okay? So, and that's another thing that you got to remember, you got to keep in mind that the whole point of the phone call is the consultation. That's it. Not for them to hire you, not for them to use you, not for them to do any of that stuff. It's all about getting them to, convincing them to meet with you. That's what you want to have happen. Okay? So, rules of prospecting is the first place for us to start. I want to start there before we went into detail around the pre-qualification questions and things, or how to pre-qualify. All right. So the pre-qualifying aspect of things is the next thing, right? That's where your scripts come in, right? So the understanding or internalizing the rules for prospecting. So you got to internalize those three rules, right? Now, if you're sitting there until you internalize them to where they're natural, then wherever your spot's going to be for you to do your follow-up during your follow-up protocol time block, well, you may want to print that out and you may want to have it posted somewhere in that area, right? You want to print it out. Maybe it's at the desk, maybe it's on the wall, maybe it's on the side of you, the way you can quickly glance at it and it'll keep you on track. Well, you want to also do the same thing with the scripts. So that's where the scripts come in, and you're practicing role playing and things like that, is to help you get comfortable in traversing, getting people to agree to have a face-to-face meeting with you with these different scenarios. Okay, so now let's start with the buyer. So we're going to do the buyer, and I may not, because I want to spend some time kind of going through it. We're probably not going to have time, and I'll do the seller next week. And then, but let's start with the buyer when it comes to pre-qualifying. All right. The script. Okay, so I thought I had my script pulled up. Don't have my script pulled up. I have my script pulled up. All right, let's do it this way. So the good thing about the pre-qualification questions in the script is that a lot of it is redundant. No, it's not. It's not redundant. Okay, let me see. Bear with me, people. Okay, here we go. We just named the wrong thing. All right, so I'm gonna take you to. So this is where the scripts come in, right? Again, remember, you're trying to first identify the need, right? So now, one of the very first questions is, are you looking to buy a piece of real estate, right? Well, you definitely want to get their name. That's very key. You want to get their name because people like hearing their name. So as you're building rapport, these are the little nuances and the techniques and the sales training that sales training teaches you. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're trying to make people comfortable. You're trying to make people like you, right? And by liking you, that makes them want to work with you and do business with you. So one of the things is definitely getting their name, remembering their name, using their name. That is going to increase your chances of people liking you and feeling good about you, right? So the second question, which has been deleted, but the second question should be, are you working with a real estate agent? Are you working with a real estate professional? Right. Now, why is that the second question? Because if they're working with a real estate professional, if they've signed paperwork with this professional and they want to keep working with them, then they don't need you. So at this point, there's no point in spending any more of your precious time on the phone. There's no point in them spending any more of their precious time on the phone with you. So that's why that's the second thing that needs to be asked when you're dealing with somebody that's wanting to buy a house. Then after that, are you looking to buy a piece of real estate? They're going to say yes. Well, this is very important. Where are you in the process? Now, remember, if you're identifying the need, well, the underlining need is they need somebody to help navigate them through the process if they're not working with a real estate professional, right? So if they answer to the second question is no, I'm not working with a real estate professional. Well, if you want to buy a house, the best thing for them, their need, is to work with a real estate professional. Now, whether they see it or not, whether they agree with it or not, we know as professionals that's the best thing for them, right? Okay, so now that we see that they want to buy something, find out where are they in the process, right? Have they spoken to a lender? Are they going to pay cash? Have they identified the property that they want to buy? Like, where are they, right? 9 times out of 10, they don't understand, what they're supposed to be doing, the way it's supposed to be done. They don't understand that. We know that. But you want to find out where they are, where their head is in it, right? Now, question 4 and question 5 is all about building rapport, right? I know we've used the acronym FORD: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Well, these questions are geared around asking them stuff as you're pre-qualifying them. You're also getting to know them and again, making them feel good about you so where they can see that they want to work with you. So you're going to ask them like what type of work they're doing, how long they've been working, and what kind of, I'm not saying you got to ask them all of the 5 points that are under question number 4. What I'm saying is that you can pick and choose, right? You're having a conversation. This is just to give you a guide on how the conversation should best go. That's all it is. So ask them if they love their job. What made them get into it? What do they hate about it? You know, when do they, what are they going to do when they retire? You know, those are just ways to have a conversation with people to where it's just not you asking questions. And it's the same thing with how many kids do you have? How long have you been married? You know, how old are your kids? People like talking about their kids. People like talking about their wife. They like talking about their life. Like people like doing that stuff. Don't feel like you're intrusive, right? Because if you get to asking questions, you'll be able to recognize if you're intruding and if they're taking it from that standpoint. They'll get off the phone with you. So again, that's why we call it a skill set. You have to be skilled in being able to identify these things and how to navigate that stuff, right? All right, so then question 6 is concerning a real estate need, right? See, so you want to mix. When I say this is just a conversation, I'm not saying that you ask these questions first, then these questions, then these questions. I'm saying it needs to be a mix. It needs to be a part of all of this needs to be involved in the questions as the questions are going out. You may ask a question, how long you've been looking. You may ask a question, then you may ask a question about the kid. Then you may ask a question, how much you want to spend. Then you may ask a question about the type of work that they do. So like when you lead in with the type of work that they do, then these are just follow-up questions that can keep that conversation going. Same thing with the married. Follow-up conversation that can keep that conversation going, right? But instead of just going into the total nuts and bolts about what their real estate need is. Well, these right here, how long you been looking, how soon you looking to move. And then if they say in 6 months, ask them why not next month, right? That'll help you really get down to their motivation or what's stopping them from being able to move forward. Because all of this is still a part of you identifying the need, right? You're still digging deeper into what the need is, right? It's just like when you go to the doctor and the doctor in his diagnosis, it's a questionnaire. It's a lot of questions. That first you have to fill out the questionnaire, then he looks at the questionnaire and then he starts asking you more questions about the questions that you answered on the questionnaire, about your family history and your medical history. And you know, it's like pages and pages of questions. Well, this is the same thing. You're diagnosing the situation, right? Ask them how much they want to spend. How much money do they have saved up for down payment? When's the last time they looked at their credit score? Do you have an idea what the score is, right? Okay. So now here, when we check, that is that question right there, are you working with an agent, is the second question, right? But here's another one that's saying, have you ever worked with a realtor in the past? That's important because you want to know how that experience is, right? So now, and it also gives you a lead in on if they would want to work with a realtor, right? If they've never worked with a realtor before, then 9 times out of 10, they probably don't have any problem. But if they have, and it was a horrible experience, so now you're going to have to deal with the issues that are going to come with that experience that they had with that other real estate professional, right? So be prepared for that. That helps you be prepared for that. So now you've identified the need. So here you've identified the need, right? All of that is to help you identify the need. So now you come in and so say their answers are they're not working with a realtor, they haven't worked with one before, they want to buy a house, they need to be moved in 60 days. It's him and the wife, they have some kids, they're thinking about the Sugar Land area. They haven't where they are in the process is that they haven't looked at their credit score. They haven't but they're shopping, they're seeing properties online and they're wanting to go look at properties, right? Well, so the need is not for you to go meet them at a property and show them a property, right? Even though that's what they're saying that they want to do. That's why they're calling you, to meet them at a property. That's not their need. Their need is to talk to a lender to at the least pull their credit. That's what they need right now. They need to figure out if they can get qualified for a loan. They need to see what is their purchasing power. That's what the need is. So now that you've asked all those questions and hopefully you build enough rapport to where you can start working on getting agreement from them that this is what their true need is. Their need is not for me to meet them at a property. Their need is for me to schedule them a lender appointment, right? So now a lender appointment is still a consultation. It's still a consultation, right? It's just a different type of consultation. A person going to a pre-home buyer session, that's still a consultation. If they got credit challenges, they want to buy a house, but they have credit challenges, them coming to a pre-home buyer session is still an appointment. That's a consultation. Everything ends with an appointment. Every call ends with a consultation. Person got credit or debt issues, which is stopping them from buying a house. Them coming to our pre-home buyer session serves as a consultation. If a person has no clue about their credit, them having a phone appointment with the lender and going through the application process over the phone is a consultation. That is a lender appointment scheduled, meaning what time can you do it? I can set you up with the lender, have them call you at that time. They're going to go through the process and figure out what's going on, right? That's what they need. So now you're working with them to get agreement on that's what they really need is for me to set them up with a lender appointment. Now, this is where all the skill comes in. You have to use all of this because trust me, I would say 70% of the time, it may be just as easy as saying, okay, because you've shown your level of professionalism and competence in asking questions and diagnosing their situation. So through the conversation, if done right, they like you, they see that you know what you're talking about, they have a level of trust, right? And we're not saying they all in because it's just the first conversation, but there's a level of trust, right? So 70% of the time it is as easy as just saying, how about I set you up with a lender appointment? That's what you need right now is to speak with a lender, not necessarily showing you the house, right? Because we don't even know right now if you can purchase that home, right? If we wanted to submit an offer on that home, you would have to have a pre-approval letter associated with it, right? And if you're looking at houses that say you can't afford based on talking to the lender, then you've spent a lot of time, you wasted a lot of time doing something you could have did something else with that time. So this is the better way to approach it. This is what you need. So that's how, so you're talking to the customer, working with them to get agreement with you that that's what they need. So it's like, so do you understand what I'm saying? So now you see what you need right now is to really talk to a lender appointment. That's what we need to do for you is to have you speak with a lender, right? So that's you working to get agreement with the customer. Now, once they get agreement and they say, yes, you're right, I do need to speak with a lender, then yeah, it's easy. So now you're the solution, right? How are you the solution to their need? Because you're the one that's going to set the lender appointment. You're going to recommend the lender. You're going to get it set up to where they meet and they connect, right? And you're going to put that buyer in position to where they can have that conversation to get what they need, which is to find out how much they can get qualified for, right? So now that's how you've got to the point of getting that consultation done. And once they say, okay, yes, Tuesday, so you ask them, well, what day works best for you, right? So now at this point, because it's with the lender, you don't have to base it on your time schedule, right? You just find out from them, when's the best time, right? It's a phone call. When's the best time? What day is best for, say, Thursday after 4 o'clock or any day after 6 or whatever they say. So, okay, great. I'm going to reach out to the lender and I'm going to get it coordinated, right? So what you do is you write it down on your list. You can, update their notes in your CRM while you're on the phone with them. You update their notes in the CRM if they're already in there. If they're not in the CRM, then you go ahead and type them in there, put some notes in there, right? Add them to your call list on when to follow up. right? And then you make a note to call the lender and get it coordinated. So now you work to get it coordinated. Call the lender and you identify a time and date that works for them. So once you hang up the phone, you call the lender, find out what are you able to call this person Thursday after 4. If they say yes, so okay, great. You call them back and you let them know that I just confirmed it. The lender's going to call you at 4 o'clock on Thursday to do an appointment, a lender phone appointment. They're going to take an application, pull your credit, and just so they can get an idea of what you could possibly qualify for. You're going to have to submit your bank statements, your check stubs, your tax returns, send that stuff and those documents into them, and we'll see where you really stand as far as your purchasing power, right? So once that's done, then on Friday in your call list for Friday, you want to follow up with them, right? Because if the client gets pre-approved or the customer gets pre-approved, then now they need to meet with you. Now you need to do the initial buyer consultation, right? But you don't do the initial buyer consultation without knowing if they're going to get pre-approved or not. So that's why you do the lender phone appointment first, right? The same thing with the pre-home buyer session. There's no point in doing a lender phone appointment if they're telling you they have bad credit. So they got to do the pre-home buyer session first, right? And then they go into the financial homeownership first program. And then once that program gets them to where the credit and the debt is where it needs to be, then they go to the lender appointment. And then the lender appointment, they go to the initial buyer consultation, right? It's the same. It's the same process, same flow. It's just understanding the flow and how to best utilize navigating through that flow, right? So that's just one example of how to utilize the pre-qualification questions and scripts when working with a buyer, right? So you have these tools and resources like pre-home buyer session, IMB. You have these that you can utilize as a when talking to somebody that is not convinced that you're the solution, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to end there. Next week, I'm going to do the same thing that I did when it comes to maybe taking on a seller client and how to utilize the pre-qualification questions. And then they have pre-listing questions that you want to ask as well when you get the okay to go on a listing appointment with them. So we'll go through those questions next week. And then maybe if we have enough time after that, we'll finish going through the tools and resources to possibly close out this third skill set number 3, successfully scheduling the consultation. All right. So today it looks like we don't have anybody on for coaching. We had a couple of viewers, so there's no need for coaching today. So what we'll do is go ahead and wrap this thing up, and I'll see you guys on next week. Let me get my music going. Let me get my music going, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Let's get this thing going. There we go. All right. So we got another one in the books. Another Create Your New Life real estate session in the books. Anyway, so every call ends with a consultation. Remember, whether it's a buyer, seller, whether they got good credit, bad credit, whether they need to speak to the lender, it always ends in the consultation, right? You gotta stay inside the funnel. Want to get to the money. We're going to keep the conversation going. Look, you guys enjoy your weekend. If you need anything, if you're interested in joining the firm, if you're interested in talking to somebody about it, give that number a call. We had that face-to-face with you, whether you're in the process of getting your license, you can come on as one of our affiliates, or you're actually licensed, come on as one of our agents. We can help develop you, get you to the next phase of your career. We'd love to do that for you. You guys have a good weekend. Go Rockets. Talk to you soon.